This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. Armenia's Justice Minister Srbuhi Galyan announced at a press conference today that her ministry aims to have a new constitution text ready before the parliamentary elections scheduled for 2026, while also outlining significant reforms in the judicial system. These include court infrastructure improvements and the implementation of alternative dispute resolution mechanisms to reduce court workload. The new constitution has been discussed for a long time. We had a concept even in 2019 and 2020, but those drafts didn't reach a logical conclusion for various reasons, Galyan said, emphasizing that she has decided to restart the constitutional reform process. The minister addressed speculation about the timing coinciding with Azerbaijan's demand for changes in Armenia, firmly asserting that the two agendas are entirely unrelated. The Justice Ministry is also planning to improve court infrastructure over the next 5 years, including the construction of 2 or 3 new courthouses meeting international standards, while the criminal courts of Yerevan are expected to be consolidated into one building. Addressing penitentiary conditions, Galyan highlighted recent improvements in facilities and emphasized enhanced connectivity for inmates with the outside world through installing new phones and providing phone calls at nearly no cost. The minister also noted ongoing discussions about constructing a new correctional facility, stressing the need to transform the role of correctional officers to meet international standards. The Kremlin has expressed its readiness to continue developing its cooperation with Armenia as Armenian Foreign Minister Ararat Mirzoyan travels to Washington to sign a strategic partnership with the United States. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov stated today, "The United States has never played a particularly stabilizing role in the South Caucasus. One could even say the opposite. It is precisely in the context of these actions that the United States is trying in every possible way to pull more and more countries into its wake," reported the Russian Interfax news agency. Despite this, Peskov affirmed that it is an absolutely sovereign right of our Armenian friends to develop relations in all directions. He noted the particular importance of Armenia's place in the Russian-led Eurasian Economic Union. Meanwhile, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov announced that Mirzoyan has also accepted an invitation to visit Moscow in the near future. According to Lavrov, relations between Russia and Armenia are uneasy at this stage, but dialogue continues. Mirzoyan is scheduled to sign the strategic partnership with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken later today in Washington. A number of Armenian civil society NGOs have issued a statement today demanding that the country's government and Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan do not abandon the cases filed against Azerbaijan in international courts under any circumstances. They consider his proposal to do so deeply worrying, unacceptable, and condemnable. This comes in response to a statement Pashinyan made last week presenting his proposals for a normalization deal with Azerbaijan, emphasizing the mutual withdrawal of cases against each other in international courts and the dissolution of the OSCE Minsk Group. The NGOs insist that it is not possible to establish long-term stability in the region until mechanisms are implemented to prevent the mass violation of human rights, and violated rights are restored. They say the protection of human rights cannot be part of political bargaining, highlighting how Azerbaijan has not taken any steps to investigate human rights violations and hold perpetrators accountable. Armenia and Azerbaijan currently have cases against each other before the European Court of Human Rights and the International Court of Justice. Armenia's cases concern violations during and immediately after the 44-day war, the trials of those taken prisoner, the presence of Azerbaijani armed units on Armenia's sovereign territory and resulting human rights violations, and the violations that occurred in the Nagorno-Karabakh region, including the forced displacement of the population in 2023. That year, the courts ruled on interim measures that the blockade of the Lachin corridor must be opened. However, Azerbaijan ignored them. As a new member of the International Criminal Court, Armenia has the ability to bring a case against Azerbaijan at that venue as well, but has so far refrained from doing so. Pashinyan said in November that Armenia and Azerbaijan may retract legal claims against each other from international courts once a normalization deal is signed between the two nations. This will not prevent either side from filing lawsuits in the future, but I hope there will be no need to do so, Pashinyan added. You can read our article about the Armenian leadership's acquiescence to Azerbaijani demands, featuring Benyamin Pogosyan, a senior analyst at the APRI Armenia think tank. He says this effectively aids in legitimizing Azerbaijan's hostile stance. Pogosyan argues that Azerbaijan's president Ilham Aliyev is not genuinely interested in signing a peace treaty with Armenia, as evidenced by his continuous introduction of new preconditions. Read the full article by following the link in the description. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.